Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to today's webinar. My name is Dr. Mrs. Van, the research specialist and CEO for Natafamdavid Consulting Limited, a business growth consultancy company offering tailor-made services targeted at building profitable and productive companies. We provide comprehensive HR services at different sections of the value chain, from recruitment to manpower development. We also offer consumer and market insight, assessing opportunities for brands through market research and trend mapping, amongst others. Today, we are celebrating the facility management sector globally, and the theme this year is Celebrating FM, Standing Tall Beyond the Pandemic. It's important to always look at where you were, where you are now, and where you are going. Today, we'll examine the challenges and the achievements of the industry for over the past 12 years. How did we survive? Did we ever imagine that we could survive? And after survival, we should be looking beyond survival. For this event today, we have a woman of repute who stood tall during and after the storm to share with us how the industry survived as she takes up the topic, the challenges and achievements of FM during the pandemic and post-pandemic. She is no other person than Tokunbo Lawal, the MD and CEO of Wilco Property Management. Before we continue, I want to recognize my CEO, Mr. Kenneth Odushola Stevenson, a publisher, CED Magazine, and Inside Business Africa, and the CEO of Natafamdavid Consulting. I also recognize the sponsor of this event, Provas Limited. Provas Limited is the foremost integrated facility management company in Nigeria, incorporated in 1997 as a joint venture between Shell Trustees Nigeria Limited, now Shell Nigeria Closed, Pension Fund Administrators Limited, Pension Managers of Shell Oil Nigeria Limited, and Partner Investments Limited. Provas specializes in providing hard and soft facility management services, delivering consistent quality through a detailed process framework, providing a spectrum of integrated facilities management and maintenance of properties and equipment. Before we start the conversation, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat. We'll bring them up during the conversation. Before inviting our main speaker, I want to read out a brief profile of Tokunbo Lawal. Ms. Tokunbo Lawal, the founder and managing director of Wilco Property Limited Management, is a proven expert and business leader in the facility management industry. In 2010, Tokunbo founded Wilco Management Services Limited with its headquarters located in Lagos, Nigeria. Wilco provides a broad range of cost-effective facilities management solutions to global clients in the commercial industrial and residential space. Her focus on facilities management was born out of the desire to close up the gap in the industry. With increasing demand in integrated facilities management, she leveraged her expertise and experience in providing customized solutions to clients. Tokunbo is passionate about youth initiatives. Her passion, in line with her resolve to promote youth development, motivated her to lead Wilco to partner with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport for the selection, training, and engagement of youths. This initiative, tagged Work Experience Program WEP, involves with employability skills such as plumbing, meter installation, electricals, facilities management, amongst others. She has over 25 years experience across multiple industries, including telecoms, consumer goods, oil and gas, and real estate in the US, UK, European, and Nigerian markets. Tokunbo has an MBA from the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University, North Carolina, USA, alongside various qualifications. She's a member of the executives of the Association of Facilities Management Practitioners of Nigeria, AFMPN. For a little introduction, the World FM Day was introduced in 2009. This annual day of recognition was established by Global FM, a worldwide group established in May 2006 by the coming together of the leading facility management associations of the day to collaborate and further their common objectives. Quoting John Carrillo, CFM, IFMA Fellow, and current chairman of Global FM. As people from around the world begin to emerge from their homes and return to the built environments to work, learn, worship, and play, we are witnessing an incredible phenomenon for facility management, with a renewed importance being placed on human health and safety, coupled with building sustainability and resilience. The facility manager today has been thrust into the center of the return to conversation. This year's World FM Day is special to me since celebrating the work of FM has never been so important to all peoples of this world. Happy FM Day. At this point, I invite our speaker, Ms. Tokumbo Lawal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much again, Dr. Van and Dr. Ojushola Stevenson, for having me here and to be part of this excellent initiative. The approach that I'm going to take today is just simply to go over how the pandemic has basically changed everything and the opportunities that it presented facility managers, facility management practitioners. So I'll be speaking from an operator's point of view, you know, as because I run a facility management. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. Let me.
Okay.
The coronavirus pandemic disrupted even the most well-managed commercial, residential, and industrial space around the world. And of course, we've been talking about this and we've all now moved to a new normal. But this pandemic has kind of created an opportunity for facility management practitioners. A lot of the industry is now getting a lot of attention. So the facility managers, we have now the opportunity to explore new ways of working, either by using technology or adopting new practices to ensure the quality of life. So this is a chart from McKinsey, basically talking about, I use a small business angle because this is here, just to look at how the industry is affected by COVID-19. So if you look at the bigger balls, the areas that are affected, that are impacted, either negatively or positively, and that shows the size, the size of the ball. So if you look closely, if you look at what we have, so in this area, these are the areas where we have least impact by COVID. I mean, where COVID has impacted them slowly. And then the financial risk is also low. So these are the industries that are supposed to be thriving at the moment. And under that, you have finance and insurance, you have professional services, and then you have real estate and rental and leasing. Of course, facility management will fall around that space, and also in, maybe be in administrative support. So the size of business is low. And so what this means, all the businesses in this space, where you have construction, administrative support, manufacturing, utilities, retail trade, they're kind of relatively doing okay. And on the long term, it's only things like, where you have accommodation and food services, which is the most affected, but even the financial risk is not as high. So these are all businesses that are resilient, that are surviving times. So if you want to look at that, what are the opportunities that that the pandemic brought across? We'll look at the challenges. Now, businesses around the world, they reduce their operating capex, operating and capex costs. We have job losses. There's an increased demand for health and safety measures. A lot of people are working from home. We have remote working. People are looking at work-life balance. And then, they're, working from home, that's why they're linked together, has also posed the challenge of overworking having that life balance. And then we have the security issues as well, due to the downtime of the economic situation. So, but these are the things that pop out. So as a result, we have we need to refocus as facility managers. Now, the reason why we're still standing, where facility managers are still standing, we understand the fact that their clients are now looking at cost efficiency. So now facility managers are looking at ways to be a little bit more, to be more cost efficient by automating operations and reducing costs for clients, looking at innovative manpower planning, looking at how things can be done effectively at a low cost. There are a lot of, I don't know whether a lot of you have noticed, but there are a lot of solutions coming out there in terms of apps for access control, lots of CMS management tools, remote monitoring. A lot of tools are being put in place to ensure that we provide efficient services, quality services, while providing value for money for the clients. Now, in the health and safety arena, the facility managers are really now more focused on awareness programs. We're training staff across sites, the contamination, practicing respiratory etiquette and hand hygiene, looking at ways to have contactless interactions. Again, in terms of access control, how people come in, looking at ways where we can reduce interactions along the value chain, and just providing value in that space for clients, ensuring that everything is clean. Then we now look for business continuity in operations. Now, most of our clients are now working from home, and you can see there's a huge demand now for work, most especially for residential estates. People are actually now looking for professionals managing a residential estate rather than them doing it themselves. So there are quite a lot of opportunities in there. We've seen an increased demand of up to about 45% in that space. People are working from home; they're staying at home more now. So they want it, they want to be comfortable. They want everything well managed. So working on that, ensuring that we manage that transition from commercial to residential has created an opportunity for facility managers, and again, looking more for what professionals are doing. Now we come to the areas of security. Obviously, we all know what is going on in the country, which is really due to the global economic downturn, which of course is it's directly correlated to the pandemic. That has increased the security issues that we've had, and so right now there are heightened security risks, increased surveillance. So again, this also poses an opportunity for facility managers to prove to their clients that this is the right time to get professionals to manage all aspects of the built environment, including managing the security and looking at what can be done also, CSR, administrating the CSR palliative on behalf of the clients, and also doing that as a business. So, I really want this to be interactive. And like I said, I'm just speaking from an operator's point of view. And those are just the key points that I want to touch on. And I just really want to hear from other people to find out what challenges they have experienced and how they've overcome, and whether they've actually even noticed the opportunities that have been created within this space. So that I will put a pause to it right now, and then just to ask from the audience and see how we can make it more interactive. Okay, so the other areas that I wanted to touch on were more on the financial impact. Again, when we talk about the financial impact, we have, the industry shift. You have the IOCs, we have the industry shift in terms of there's some industries that are majorly impacted and as such are defaulting in payment, and are also downsizing and also letting go of some of the professional services as the FM services. On that area for us as facility managers, again, it's looking at how to shift. What we've done is looking at how to move with the client in terms of the positioning, moving on to their residential space, to where they're moving into, and then also exploring the opportunities in the healthcare sector. Quite a number of opportunities have opened up in that space, because that space is really booming. So that's in terms of the impact to us. It's like just moving and transitioning into the space, into that new opportunity that has been created. That's pretty much all I have. So that's pretty much all I have. I was hoping that other people would have some questions, experience that we can all share and speak on.
Okay. Thank you, Tokunbo Lawal, for this presentation so far. We will want people to make contributions of your challenges and experiences. I don't know if Mr. Kenneth has something to say before we allow other people to make their contributions. He has something to say, and I know that Mrs. Abimbola is here. Okay, sir.
Yes. I think a lot has been said, and in terms of the new normal, which is what everyone has come to know, and a lot has been written about the pandemic and what it has done, especially within all sectors, including the facility management. But what we have seen over time is to see that now we can see that the facility managers have more work to do than before in terms of work tools. And having more work to do than before means that operations of many industries are going to change. And we want to believe that somehow we'll be able to learn from this particular conversation the experience of some of the operators within the last 1 year. And let me say a very big thank you to Provost Nigeria Limited for actually sponsoring this particular webinar. But what is also important that I would like to point out is that if you look at the topic here, which says, the theme for this year's FM Day, which is standing beyond the pandemic, standing tall beyond the pandemic, is actually, emphasizing the need for people, for the practitioners, to actually come up with some innovations. In the past, what you will see in the medical facility is not what you need to do now. And we have seen recently that when it has been liberalized, that companies or even pharmacy shops can actually do testing. They put up a very makeshift facility in front of their team for you to do tests. I don't know whether they involve facility managers who will actually ensure that they advise on what kind of method of facilities that are put outside there in a pharmacy shop for people to do testing. We also know that at the airports, you have to sanitize your bags every time you have to enter the airport, and you also do all sorts of things. But a lot has happened. It has put more pressure on the facility managers' operations. However, we would like to know how they've been able to cope with this in terms of financials, because while the resources is going down in terms of what people can spend on these things, but the workload is increasing, especially for facility managers. So I would like to hear from the operators, especially with the relation to financials, and also application of new things that will actually enhance the work, especially within the hospital facilities and also the workplace, especially with the, I know that many of the operations in the oil and gas, they are actually still working from home because most of the things that are done real time online. However, some people that are still going to work, they still have to follow these protocols. So my own today is to take somewhat away from this conversation on how facility managers have been able to cope within this thing and standing tall within this pandemic period, and some innovations that have come along. And I hope that we'll be able to learn from some of them. So I'll still come back and bring my own experience, especially as I travel along across the country and across the world, to know how people are responding to this and what advice should be given, especially, we are in Nigeria, we're always jumping into the bandwagon. You can see now that people have been told that you can, about some countries are opening up where you have passport, you can now travel to some countries. And now, that's a COVID-19 passport certified. But now Nigeria will also do the same thing almost in a couple of weeks before you know it. So, but in terms of how we are going to ensure that the facility managers who are actually supposed to know what to do within the airport, and those of them managing the facilities like airport facilities, how they are able to watch out for some of these things, and how far do they go to actually give service within the airport facilities and the medical facilities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I don't know if there's anybody that wants to make contribution to this, some of these questions or our observations that were brought out. I don't know if Mr. Abimbola will be able to say something on this in terms of the financials, your experience, and what can be done even at the airport areas and all that.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And
Good afternoon, you're welcome.
I want to commend the main facilitator, Mr. Kumbo, Dr. Ovie. Thank you for a job well done for coordinating this and ensuring that the profession is up to speed in the recent challenges that we're facing globally. I've not traveled basically during the lockdown. I've been in the US for over 2 years and I've not been doing much traveling. But what I wanted to contribute is that more than ever before, that the profession is needed more because a lot of facilities, a lot of other professions are now transferring their liability to the facility manager or facility management company. What I mean by that is that they expect us to know to have every know-how. They expect us to have every information, whatever is required on local or national level concerning facilities. Organizations expect us to have it on our fingertips. What are the liabilities? What are they expected to do to make sure that their facilities are compliant? They expect facility managers to know. So they've transferred that to us. And that again would, whether we like it or not, directly or indirectly, affects the financials that we're talking about. And so what that implies is that as opposed to our profession not being required, our profession is even more required now. And that means that we have to sit up, we have to be ahead, we have to get more information to be able to advise our clients on how to be compliant in their facilities. We are more, in addition to maintaining their facilities, we are now in a position to even advise. So that means we have to be on top of our games. More than ever before, facility managers are required. And so, like I said, it's a good time to be in the industry. It's a good time for us to showcase ourselves and to really let our clients know that we are needed and we are important in their major decisions. Basically, for now, that would be my contribution. Where I am, the part of the world where I am, they are very compliant with all the regulations about social distancing, about wearing your mask, about taking the vaccines. They're very, very strict about those. And as facility managers, is one of the things that we are also expected to advise our clients to put all the policies about hygiene in place in our different facilities so that we are able to avoid any unnecessary disaster or any any unnecessary health hygiene issues. For now, that will be it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola, for always being there for us. Um, Mr. Kumba, you were going to say something. You're going to make a
Yes,
contribution to that.
yes. So I wanted
Yeah.
to, the question that Mr. Odushola asked earlier, and also what Mrs. Abimbola also alluded to earlier as well, is the fact that the financial, first he was asking about how now that there's more demand, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's more money. Ms. Abimbola just said clients are transferring liabilities to facility managers. So how do we reconcile all this? The only way to look at it is we have to be innovative. So it's no longer new, it's no longer business as usual, even for facility managers. While we have more work to do, even as far as being facility managers for warehousing for data, that's how we have to look at it in a completely different way. We look at, for example, if you want to look at the airports, it becomes having to reduce, with every manpower, the cost associated with it. Of course, we can't eliminate human beings completely from operations, but there are some things that, like people passing through sanitizing tunnels, having some sort of self-cleaning mechanism, having automated, when I say automated, having some sort of technology in quality assurance. So what does that mean? Probably people using some sort of remote monitoring tools, maybe as simple as just people taking up pictures on their phone and sending up to a central server or whatever, so that somebody somewhere, one person at the back end is monitoring what they're doing without leaving their office. We have, first, in order for us to deal with this, because the new way is coming to stay, and that's why you can see that the big businesses now, there's this thing that goes around that says that has the charts of the top 50 companies about 20 years ago, included companies like Mobil and Exxon. But today you have Airbnb, Facebook, and Amazon are the top companies in the world at the moment. And they're all they have nothing to do with brick and mortar. They're just mostly technology. So as facility managers, we have to start rethinking how we do business. We are more important now than ever. Just like we said, health and safety issues are there. People don't want to be bothered. They have their businesses to run. They have their families to take care of. They don't want to be bothered with how to be compliant. We have to figure out how we can do that in an easy way. In terms of, we have noticed an increased, like I said, we've noticed an increased demand for our services, especially from people in the residential space, because they work at home now. While the offices are still there, they still maintain they pay their rent. So it's double whammy. So that means they want to reduce the costs, what they pay you. So you have to, we look for things, even in access control, CCTV, those are all things that technology will do. There are also things that they call Internet of Things, which you can basically, the Internet of Things are ways where you can automate a low-cost way of automating the business, such as, turning off power. These are very simple things that can work with what we do at the moment. It's just putting sensors here and there, very low-cost technology to ensure that when there's nobody in an office, the power will turn off, you're not burning diesel, just different things. So for us, that's the way I see we can really manage this financial aspect. Because that's what the banks had to do it. We're one of the four, Kenya and Nigeria, in terms of using our phones for financial transactions. Even when you go, I'm sure most of you know, when you go abroad, it's not as savvy as we have in Nigeria, because it's just to cover up, basically fit our deficiencies. So we have to also start thinking that way and start looking at how we can do things. Another way we can look is to start innovating manpower requirements. So, maybe cross-training, you may have where you would need one person, you might need to have two. We need to start looking at how people can deliver quality services, ISO standards at low cost by thinking beyond the way we do it now. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any other person that has something to say. Is there any other person that has any contribution to make? If you have a contribution to make, you can just raise your hand up. I just want to say that while the IFMA celebrated the FM World Day last week or thereabouts, there was something the president said, Mr. Adeshegun. He said that IFMA will continue to map out critical paths towards a better operating environment as members are determined to achieve a sustainable and forward-thinking industry through capacity building, knowledge development and research. And I think especially the development and research aspect of it will also be what everybody in the industry should look forward to as we look forward to be on top of the game in this industry. There's supposed to be finances, towards research, development, and knowledge, so that the facility management can operate optimally in this area, in all the aspects, in all the areas they take care of in the built environment. Mr. Kenneth said he was going to come back to say one or two things. I don't know if he's ready to say what he intended to say. Mr. Kenneth, if you're there, please, can you come up and make your contributions more? And if there's any other person that has contributions to make, please just raise your hand up and I will call you up to do so. If you have questions also, please let us know.
I think what I would like to say, for me, in running around based on our consultancy with this industry, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
It's the fact that the operators, from those I have had conversation with, there's been more collaboration among the operators. I had a conversation with Standard Organization of Nigeria, the person who is in charge of FM. And what he told me is that even the Standard Organization of Nigeria has a standardization policy for FM managers. All right. So I'm not sure how many people are on their platform or how many companies are actually taking advantage of it. Because you see, some chemicals are being used and they have to be of standard. And therefore, the Standard Organization is asking facility managers to come forward for certain, not certification, but to also be able to be certified in terms of ISO certification, so that processes will also be known and they will be taken care of. I also noticed that I also see the fact that now the hotels, the hospitality industries, the transportation sector, and are beginning to look at the fact that the operations of their facility managers in terms of coping with the new things. I want to ask, my question then will be, how much of capacity building is going on among operators in terms of capacity building, training on the new way of doing things among operators? Any of the operators can talk to this, because if you were doing it before, the things has changed. So which means suddenly you have found yourself, having to train people on new ways of handling even ordinary dustbin in a hospital. All right. So which is to say that there must be that seriousness in capacity building among the employees of facility managers, and also education to the end users. In other words, if I'm managing a hospital, for instance, I would like to be able to tell them some of the major things that must be done. How much of these are being taken care of by facility managers in Nigeria today? And if the association members are around, so how much are they involved in all this in terms of monitoring and evaluation of the processes?
I'm sure we have IFMA members around. The question is, how much are you involved in educating even the end users and then your staff in building their capacity, and also how much are you involved in monitoring? I don't know if there's anybody here that can answer. Okay, please, can you unmute Olufemi Samuel? He has raised his hand up.
All
Yeah.
right. Good afternoon, Doctor, and
Good
thanks
afternoon.
to thanks to Madam Tokunbo and Madam Bimbola, Mr. Kenneth that have commented earlier. On to answer the question, the last question, I am so happy that you mentioned about ISO standardization certification for facility management. It is actually ISO 41001 2018, which is currently being promoted by British Council. I happen to be a participant for its implementation recently. BSI. So they champion the promotion of the standard, and if you will see that all the process in facility management are now standardized. So practitioners are now advised and encouraged to go for such training so that they can know how to respond, how to act regarding the new normal, to undo things based on the new normal. Because just like Madam Tokumbo said, it has come to stay, and we don't have choice than to adjust our processes to follow suit. So up to the way we even administer the COVID-19 policy itself, it affects it. Everything is properly spelled out in the standard. It is not like the usual brick and mortar procedure that we used to have. Contactless apps are now being introduced in public space. Thermometer, infrared scan, temperature scanning are now introduced, and so on and so forth. It is so loaded that the best way that operators can respond appropriately to the various policies that are coming out from this new normal is to embark on such training so that we will not be in the limbo and be left behind thinking we are doing it right. So that is what I will say for now.
Okay, thank you so much, Femi. Femi is from BPL, and thank you for that contribution. So we have you have opportunities for training for your staff and for everybody. Sure, there's a SON certification. I'm sure that most of the facility managers have also obtained such certificates to operate, and especially the use of some chemicals for the job. I don't know if there's any other person that has any contribution to make. Just raise your hand up. I will call you up to do that. But most importantly, there must be a lot of human capital development training and retraining, both for the staff, even for end users. It is important that, well, once in a while you send the staff to your client to train also the staff of that office where you take care of, so that they will also be in the know of a lot of things, especially as it affects their health and the environment. Do we have any more contributions or questions? Okay, there are no contributions or questions. We just take 5 seconds break. We'll come back. When we come back, we will ask Tokumbo to just give us a parting word before we close. We bring the meeting to a close. Just 2 minutes. Once again, I want to thank Provast Limited for sponsoring this program, and I want also to thank Madam Tokumbo Lawal for taking time out of her busy schedule to come here this afternoon to talk about FM as we celebrate with them, as we celebrate with all the FM globally for their day this year. I want to also thank Mr. Bimbola. She's still there for her time. She's always supportive of this program. Please, can you unmute Mr. Kenneth, please, so that we can continue before I call back Tokumbo to round up her speech or her presentation. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. I mean, I think as we're trying to round up, I would like to ask this of Mrs. Abimbola, the immediate past president of IFMA International Nigeria chapter, and also our guest, Mrs. Lawal, to Tokumbo Lawal, to speak to these things I'm going to ask her. I hope they are still around.
Yes.
I ran into something recently about the critical challenges for facility managers. First, the critical challenges for facility managers. They are faced with a couple of things, but I'm just going to mention just a few of them, and if they can speak to that one after the other. The facility managers are now faced with the possibility and the pressure of delivering value. All right. And then the second aspect of it is the fact that managing expectations, because services managers now they found themselves where they were not before, which is called the new normal, and things have to be done in a more important way because we're talking about disease expectations. So managing expectations. And then the third one, it is integrating technologies, because you have to now be able to integrate new technology into working. Some organizations now even use drone to sanitize the environment. So these are technology, integrating technology in our workplace and work environment, especially the facility manager. Anticipating disruption, because right now we were not expecting COVID-19, but it came. Everybody had it. So, which has taught us a lesson now that we must be prepared for any eventuality because disruption might come in anytime. And then the last thing is establishing influence on what we do. As facility managers, how do we establish influence on what we do so that we can eliminate quackeries? We can also eliminate the idea of I'm a facility manager without having the preferred, we've just talked about IS certification because the British Council is certified initiative is just to ensure there is a control. And I'm sure that the the Nigerian chapter of the International Facility Management are also doing something to maintain some control. Now, and that has to do with when you are able to control, you can now influence decisions in terms of what the industry is and how it's going. So I don't know if they follow my own line of thought here in terms of the critical challenges for facility managers, and they can speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anybody that can take up any of those challenges, critical challenges he mentioned. I know Mrs. Abimbola is still around. I know Madam Tokumbo Lawal is still around. So how do we manage expectations from what he asked? How do we integrate technologies, establish influence on what we do? I don't know if there's anybody that can take up that. I would like to welcome Ms. Abimbola. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, let me just quickly make a quick contribution. We are leaders. One of the competences in our industry, in our profession, we have about 11 of them, and one of them is leadership. As facility managers, we are leaders. And I said it earlier, we need to gain respect by being on top of our games. We've talked about research today. We've talked about taking the position not just as facility managers, but even as advisors to our clients. I remember many years back when I was still employed in paid employment, and this is way back before COVID, and I introduced the use of sanitizers into my organization, a blue chip organization. And my direct boss at the time didn't approve it. He felt it was a waste of money. Well, let me say he reluctantly approved it because we're seen as cost centers. So he felt it's another way of, just hiking costs and just buying. But later on, we had incidences around the globe that everybody had to, I think it was Ebola. It was during Ebola. Yeah, I remember. I brought up introduced the use of toilet seats, paper, disposable toilet paper, sanitizers into my organization way before Ebola. And my director was like, no, but he reluctantly approved the use of sanitizers. He didn't approve for the disposable toilet seats. And then came Ebola, and we not only had to start buying sanitizers in our office, we had to, because we have corporate social responsibilities, we had to now start buying for schools around our office at the time, for the students to use, just as a way of contributing to our environment at the time. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. We have to be leaders. We have to be on top of we have to know our onions, be on top of our games as facility managers. And that's the only way we can earn respect. Like I said, we are needed more than ever before. If anything happens, they expect us to be way ahead. And there is a lot of technology that is available to us as facility managers. There has been before COVID, but now there are even more. And all we need to do is to make our research and be on top of our game. Like I said, I can't stop talking about being on top of our games, because that's when we can become relevant. So we need to make research, know what is the IT policies or IT initiatives that are related to our profession, and begin to advise our organizations. Let me say, we've been talking about cost, we've been talking about finance. Initially, the costs are huge, but on the long run, they are cost savings. So we need to be able to demonstrate that. Mr. Kumbo mentioned earlier about, the sensors that we put on our lights. Those are some of the things way back that I also introduced to my organization. But again, because of the huge implication, most of the time our organizations want to just, not accept this suggestions or this advice. But we have come to it now. Before we were thinking that all these things will come up much later in life. But let me say Ebola or even the COVID has made us reach that point much earlier than we anticipated. So we as professionals, we as FM practitioners, we have to be able to see the future in our business and be able to advise our organizations. Other blue chip organizations have been bought into it before now, but it's even more needed now that we need to save costs. You go into an office, the sensor is able to pick, there are two people, there is one person in the office at this moment and is able to take charge. The IT technology is able to take charge and say, okay, they don't need this much power at this time, and is able to regulate it. Same thing if there is heater that is required, the sensor is able to pick that there is only one person or 5 people here and is able to regulate. So those are the areas where we need to be proactive. We need to take initiative so that we can continue to become relevant. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. Like she said, everybody's a leader in this industry. We should be able to take charge and take a lot of initiative to improve services, even the lives of other people and the people we serve. We have mentioned a lot of this in terms of researching, to be able to research, know the new technology that globally is being used for the services we provide in the FM industry. I don't know if Madam Tokumbo wants to say something once more.
I just have a few things to add to what Mr. Bimbola just eloquently articulated. In terms of us in terms of the critical challenges, one of the things that we like to do to deliver value, because like she said, everybody is always looking at FM as a cost center, but we can actually use data to actually prove to the clients before, at the beginning, like from inception, to let them know that we're actually a profit yielding center. And how do we do that? We can take a simple case of just the generators. You have data that will prove that, you know, maintaining, even though it may cost you more, maintaining a generator, I'm just using that as a simple example, and doing the proper PPMs at the right time, over the long run will save you in CapEx cost. We can use that data, be very specific, and then they will know that we're actually profit yielding. And then in terms of establishing influence, like she said, we have to be able to exhibit expertise or demonstrate competence in what we do. We have to, you know, so people always think, oh, is it not just packing one or two people together? But if in our professionalism, we're able to demonstrate to them that we are specialists in what we do, and we are very scientific, or whatever the case is, that, you know, we take our job seriously. We know that, you know, and we exhibit that expertise. Then they will know that, then we can establish influence that way. Then you will always be the go-to person. It's not just one ordinary person that is just there to come and be supervising cleaners and all that. No, you know, if we you know, demonstrate that in a you know, maybe give them empirical data and get data from the research and development and even use training, then we can exhibit, you know, we can establish influence that way. I mean, that's just what I think I want to add to the few things that to the questions of the critical challenges.
Okay, thank you so much. It's not just enough to go there, inspect cleaners and all that. We should also step up our games in terms of actually looking at the facilities also and see if there are some things to be done, not just cleaning. We can look at other things that we take care of, like the generators, like the ACs, whatever they are, not just supervising cleaners. I like that aspect of what Madam Tokumbo just said. Don't just see yourself as supervising cleaners, because in quotes, that has been a part of the general perception of facility managers. Thank you so much. Mrs. Abimbola wants to say one more thing before we conclude this conversation.
Thank you for obliging me. I just want to encourage my colleagues that it is very important that we continue to educate ourselves. There are so much information on the internet, and then training is very, very important. When I was still in paid employment, I usually like to give examples to buttress my point. When I was in paid employment, I make sure I travel every year to the US. As you may know, International Facility Management Association, they have their headquarters in Houston in the US, and they have a yearly program, you know, where we do a lot of trainings and a lot of educational sessions. I ensure that every year, not just for pleasure, but also for training, I come to the US. And when I became president of IFMA Nigerian chapter, one of the things that we had to quickly address was the issue of the cost of traveling to come for the training every year, or even to do the training locally, because you can't write the exam. At some point locally, there was a time they had to transfer writing the exam to Ghana. But what I encouraged my colleagues at the time when they were complaining about the cost, because at that time you needed to pay like $1 million to be able to get certified as a facility manager with a Houston certificate. And they were complaining that the training was expensive. I said, let us look at it. We do a Shoibi practically like every month, every other month. We borrow money to buy cars, and for things like cars, immediately you take it out of the workshop, it becomes not an asset anymore. It becomes a liability. And yet we borrow money to buy vehicles. We want to look like our colleagues, we want to look like our friends. We build houses that are very expensive and all that. And I told them, training is an investment on yourself. Yes, I agree. Because of the rate of exchange, because Naira has been terribly devalued, so it looks expensive. But if you look at it in its entirety, it's not really that outrageous. But because Naira has been devalued and we're paying in Naira, it's very expensive. So training is an investment you make in yourself. That's the bottom line. That's where I'm actually going. The Ankara you buy will fade. For us ladies, we know sometimes you buy Ankara of 3,000 to do friends' birthday, and they are doing burial, and some of these burial, 3 may come up within 2 months. And you are buying all those Ankara and sewing it. Sometimes you buy Ankara of 5,000 or 4-5, and you are sewing it for 15,000. We know this truth. We do it. So why can't you invest in yourself? That's the only thing that can earn you promotion. By the time you get your certificate, you are able to get a better job. You are able to earn promotion in your office. But if you keep complaining that knowledge is expensive, try ignorance. So I just want to encourage my colleagues, please invest in yourself. It is very, very important, especially in the way the world is going right now. If you don't improve in yourself, the world will leave you behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Investment in yourself is critical. Knowledge does not decay. The cars and every other thing you see around, you buy and all that, they decay one time or the other, but knowledge never decays. And with knowledge that you earn from trainings and education, will help you to get promoted, get better jobs, and get better opportunities in whatever you do. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. With this note, I can't see anybody raising hand for questions and all that. I want to just ask Madam Tokumbo Lawal to give us a parting word while we call this meeting, while we bring this meeting to an end. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Revan, for organizing this forum. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. What I would just like to say, without flogging the horse, is basically to say the new way the pandemic has actually created opportunities for the facility manager. Like we said, we need to invest in ourselves in training. Operators need to collaborate more. We need to look at new ways of working, look at innovation. We need to look at ways that can deliver value to people that are offloading their liabilities to us. So, in just general, I personally believe that there's a big future for facility management, especially in Nigeria. If we know that in most countries, facility management usually forms about 6% of the GDP, 6 to 8% of the GDP. But in Nigeria, it's just about 1% or so. And most of it actually comes from private organizations. So there's still a lot of room for growth for us in this space. So I think it's time for us to get excited and trying to see how we can become relevant. And trust me, people are now looking for facility managers because they're tired of doing it alone, especially with all that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just all I have to say. And thank you once again for giving us this opportunity to speak at your event.
Thank you so much, Madam Tokumbo Lawal, for the opportunity to have you here to speak at this event also. And I also use this opportunity to still thank Provast Limited for sponsoring this event. I thank Mrs. Abimbola for her time also to be here. And lastly, I just want to say that a demand is placed upon the FM industry for resilience, compliance, flexibility, and adaptability, and also for collaboration within the built industry. And I know that we are all eager to make progress in this industry, and I believe also that we will have more of these conversations. And when we call knock at your door, please oblige us. It's very important that we get knowledge, and we get knowledge in different areas, whether within the four corners of the classroom or in training, or even at this kind of conversations we put together. There is never knowledge gained that is lost or that is a waste. Invest in developing yourself, and then you will know that there is nothing more than such an investment. Thank you so much once again to everybody that attended. I say thank you so much. Thank you, our speaker. Thank you for contributors. Thank you for those who asked one question or the other. I want to say goodbye and God bless.